I saw that this year Christmas and the start of Hanukkah are on the same day. At Mar-a-Lago, they have a name for when this happens. They call it Christmas. They laughed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Come on.
The Democrat Party, not what they used to be. You look at the direction they're going, I think humankind should be very concerned, don't you think? I think so. Well, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. It's hump day. You know what that means? That means a bunch of stuff. That means Hillary wakes up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit on the dirty linoleum floor of the kitchen in one of their multi-million-dollar mansions because they're of the people. Then Hillary's got to be out of the house because Bill, Zipper Club Bill, he needs the house to himself. It's hump day, after all. The Energizer might be coming by, or somebody. He's still Bill Clinton to the bitter end. And that means that it's mailbag day. It's mailbag day here on the Chris Plant Show, too. So it's not just hump day in the Clinton house. It is also mailbag day here. And there is just an overabundance of wacky Democrat Party stories because every day they make sure that my cup runneth over. It doeth runneth over. It most assuredly does. And what do we have going on in the world? We've got a lot going on in the world. We still have these drones all over the place, and our government keeps giving us a lot of hooey on all of this and telling us, well, you're not seeing anything. And if you are seeing anything, it's nothing. It's all perfectly normal. Even though there are millions of people who are seeing these drones and they know that it's not perfectly normal. But it's, the other lesson there is, hey, the government's lying to us again. That's kind of fun. Let's gather the kids around the television set and enjoy the big lie. Pretty amazing stuff. And you saw also we have this radioactive material, this nuclear waste that has vanished. You see, the shipment of nuclear waste was en route, and it's in New Jersey, of course, because where else would it be? And the container arrived at its destination. The container was damaged, and then they discovered that the nuclear materials, the radioactive materials, missing. Now, that shouldn't be a problem of any kind, should it? Why would that be a problem? Never mind Iran, what's going on inside the United States. So we have these nuclear materials missing, and are these drones overhead? Are there government drones? Because they keep lying. Well, some of them are airplanes. Ha ha. And you just don't recognize airplanes when you see them. Tooey. They say that they spit in the face of the American people because it's what they like to do so often. And some of them are private drone operators, just kids, only kids, that have drones the size of school buses that are flying over your neighborhood. Pay no attention to that. That is no big deal at all. And the radioactive material that's missing, pay no attention. But are there government drones that have been looking for a nuclear heat signature, for a radioactive cloud, a plume, a signature from the sky, trying to find that radioactive stuff? And should we have, what's his name, Michael, your hero? I know you've got T-shirts with his face on it. Sam Brinton, right? Sam Brinton, who was in the Energy Department for the Biden and Harris administration. He's the shaved head, goatee-wearing, cross-dressing, luggage thief, transgender, who, I remember he was stealing all the women's luggage from 3 different airports so he could dress up in their clothes and then post pictures of himself on the Internet, on Al Gore's amazing Internet, peace be upon him. And Sam Brinton, he is the head of nuclear waste at the Energy Department where they handle nuclear waste. And Sam Brinton, he was in charge of dealing with all the nuclear. We should reactivate him. Where is he now? You really don't want to know, I think. But he's going to have to be called back onto active duty. And he can dress any way he wants. We'll just send him out. You know how he likes to dress. In other women's clothing.
A lot of people ask, what in the world does your gender fluid identity have to do with nuclear waste? And I will respond with, I am given the opportunity to serve my country as I am. And that's a really important aspect of my work.
Yeah, not to me, really. That's when it comes to nuclear waste, your cross-dressing, gender dysphoria is less important than nuclear waste being loose in the country. But the Democrat Party, they really don't care. It's not like human life is their thing. Oh, speaking of which, you see that Liza's out there. She's calling for, what's she calling for, Michael? For more exterminations? I think that's the thing. Isn't that remarkable? We got a little bit of that and a little bit of this. Also, we got some, speaking of showbiz, we've got Alec Baldwin is in the news. Alec Baldwin, he shot and killed that woman on a movie set, and it was called Rust. And have you seen that movie? Have you seen that movie, Michael? No? Professor Jeff, have you seen the movie Rust? Has Alec Baldwin, it's his last big hit movie. Nobody's actually seen it. I don't think Alec Baldwin's seen it. But he's got something to say about it. Boy, his life has been complicated since he shot and killed that lady on the movie set when, with the gun that wasn't loaded and he didn't point it at her and he didn't pull the trigger. And somehow, magically, all those things happened. And so we've got that going on. The Alec Baldwin story, always fun. And speaking of Alec Baldwin, Flavor Flav, having nothing to do with Alec Baldwin, really. But Flavor Flav, who does, what does he do, Michael? He fights the power. He'd fight the power. And he was at the White House yesterday because, the Democrats are so hip. They, ever since they gave up the bullwhip and the attack dogs, Sheriff Bull Connor and George Wallace and Orville Faubus and, for that matter, Joe Biden didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle and all that. But Flavor Flav in the Yuletide mode with Joe and Jill Biden at the White House. And they're old friends of Flavor Flav, and the Bidens are old friends. They're such old friends, such good friends, that when Jill, not a doctor, ran into Flavor Flav, rapper, who's dressed like a clown, of course, at the White House, and Jill said, "Hi, I'm Jill Biden." And they put out this, they're old friends. They're such old friends. And Jill Biden introduced herself like she didn't know who he was, and they didn't know each other, and they had never seen each other before. It's pretty good stuff. So we've got that going on today, too. In Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth, Pennsylvania begins rolling out race-based grants for businesses. Whitey need not apply. It's the Democrats, they used to have, everything in the front window of the store and every place else. No blacks, no Jews, no Irish, no dogs, the usual stuff. And now the Democrats, they're just keeping up the old Democrat Party traditions. Now they've got grants, that is to say, other people's money that they're spreading around, but only to non-white people because they're avenging their own behavior. This is demented stuff, but that's what the Democrats are doing in Pennsylvania now because they're sick. They're a sick bunch. Speaking of which, the Venezuelan gangs, President Trump and J.D. Vance and Tom Homan are saying, we're going to send the Venezuelan gangs back to Venezuela. And Venezuela says, no, you're not. We're not going to accept the Venezuelan gang members that you send back to Venezuela. And Trump says, watch me. And that ought to be fun to watch because I'll bet $1 right now that he'll make Venezuela take back their own gang members. And then if for some reason that becomes impossible, then they go to Mexico. We'll throw them, we'll catapult them over the wall. Because we got to have the wall that the Democrats are selling off to their friends. Pennies on the dollar, 5 cents for a $1 item. So just amazing stuff. These corrupt Democrats, they're quite extraordinary. So we've got updates for you on that. And the lie of the year has been, we're at that time of year where we get a lot of the year things going on, right? And the lie of the year has been declared. Who did it, Michael? Was it Politico and Politifact? And they have the lie of the year. You'll never guess who said something that they declared the lie of the year. It's quite possible that the people that wrote this are the liars of the year. We'll get to that. And I was going to say, Michael Piercy and I were talking about it earlier, we should ask you, the great American people, what do you think the lie of the year is? Because here's what the news media says it is. And I don't know. I mean, I said, I think it's possible that the American news media writ large is the lie of the year. That's quite possible. And we've got because, they lied to us that, remember Martha Raddatz talking to J.D. Vance on ABC Fake News, and J.D. Vance is talking about the Venezuelan gang members in Aurora, Colorado, hotbed of Latin American gang activity. And Martha Raddatz shouted him down. It's just they've only taken over a few apartment complexes, a handful of apartment complexes. And J.D. Vance is like, honestly, do you hear yourself? Because you're saying, no big deal. Venezuelan gangs have only taken over a handful of apartment complexes in the United States of America and Colorado, and you're sanguine with that? Let's throw your daughters in there. Let's throw your whole family in there. Isn't that amazing? And now we've got a new one where a gang, what did they arrest, 12 of them or 14 of them or 19 of them? And these gang members, presumably Venezuelan gang members in Colorado, home invasion, kidnapping, they bound people, they tortured them, they pistol whipped them, and there's more. And we'll get to that. And the Democrats are shrugging and going like, you know what? It's not my family. What do I care? And it's a pretty remarkable story out of Colorado. Really big stuff, big stuff, I'm telling you. And they're like, oh, how dare you? How dare you? In the lie of the year, I'm still looking at the lie of the year over here, which is almost funny. Almost funny. And then the Democrats and men playing in women's sports. The Democrat Party is, I think it was years ago, Michael Savage said liberalism is a mental illness. And I don't know if he was ahead of his time or what, but boy, the Democrat Party is really something. And we had the head of the NCAA, National College Athletics Association, on Capitol Hill, and he's telling us, listen, women should just get used to competing against men and losing and giving their trophies to them. And if women are uncomfortable with men in the women's locker room for college athletics or for pro athletics, then the women should go find some other locker room. This is what this fruitcake, and he's a former Republican governor, and wait till you hear this story. This is quite remarkable, that women should go find another locker room because, just amazing stuff. Wah, wah, wah. And have you heard the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, talking about the murder of the CEO in New York City? And he's talking about how the left, his own party, he's a left-wing liberal Democrat and not to be trusted, but he's declaring that the gunman, Luigi, was radicalized to hate America. It's like, oh, you picked up on that, did you? Yes, sir. And then we got an update on the school shooting, the latest school shooting. A woman who wanted to be called Sam, her name was not, she's dead now, she shot herself in the head or something, but after murdering people and shooting a bunch more. And she, it turns out we know a little more about her. She wanted to exterminate all men, and was really upset about the patriarchy. She was very upset about the patriarchy. Didn't like the patriarchy at all because she didn't like electricity and airplanes and cell phones and civilization, all those things, anti-civilization. I'm guessing that she was raised by liberals. In fact, the Washington Post has a funny piece today where they leave out most of the key elements that you might include in your reporting if you were reporting on the story. But it turns out that her home life was very much a Democrat Party home life. Very much. Why? Well, I'll explain. Yeah, well, you heard the lie of the year. That's pretty funny. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, suffers a big professional setback yesterday because the Democrats are racist and misogynist. No other possible explanation. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Andy calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Andrew, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Andy, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Andy, I can hear him there struggling with the phone, but he's not talking, is he? Maybe he was kidnapped by Tren de Aragua. Andy, if you've been kidnapped by Tren de Aragua, tap 3 times on the phone. Tap, tap, tap. Because we'll get the FBI drones on the job. Did Andy come back? He didn't come back. He still hasn't come back. You got to, this is the part where you stay on the phone. Wah, wah, wah. I'm telling you. Let's go to Lee, calling from Leesburg, which is just a coincidence, as I understand it. Lee, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Lee, is that right? We're having a telephone. Maybe it's us. I'm not entirely sure. Isn't that great? But it is mailbag day today, and I have my mailbag questions in front of me. I have them right here. They've been printed out, and we'll check and see if the phones are a problem on our end. I don't think they are, though. But we'll get into that. And the nuclear waste has vanished. The drones remain unexplained. The media has the lie of the year. I think I want to get to the lie of the year next. We're past mid-December now. They're starting to do, we're all starting to do, the news media and the whole culture is starting to do the end of the year, the 2024, what was the biggest this and the best that and the worst that. We do it every year. We've been doing this for a long time. But it's a crazy time we're in. And the phony, corrupt news media people with their what they call the lie of the year. And I love this. Politifact, which is not a legitimate fact-checking outfit. It's another Democrat Party front group, a bunch of shills for the Democrat Party at Politico and beyond. Now, the Politifact people, they've got an X account. They should probably be banned, and then maybe a pre-dawn FBI raid with rifles drawn and battering rams and body armor and all that stuff. So Politifact on X, a lie marked a town and its residents in the name of campaign rage. Now, that's a lie right there. See, they open with a lie, which is always good because it's their lie of the year. And they lie because they're lying. Each and every one of them is a lying Sacagawea. Lying Sacagawea. It was absurd, they write at Politifact. It was consequential. No, it wasn't. Our lie of the year goes to, who do you think it goes to? Anybody? Raise your hand. Yes, you in the back. Donald Trump. Why would you think that? It goes to, yeah, and it does. What? How did you know? That's amazing. What intuition you have. Our lie of the year goes to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who they didn't vote for. Nobody in their building voted for them because they're filthy, corrupt. They're not journalists. For false claims that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, were eating pets, dogs, and cats. And that's the lie of the year. That's the lie of the year. Now, we were just talking about it this morning. And right off the top of his head, Bill here at the mothership radio station WMAL in Washington, D.C., said, well, wait a minute, I can think of maybe another lie of the year that might have been the lie of the year.
But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Yes, the lie of the year, Joe Biden promising that he would not pardon his son for all those many crimes, gun crimes and tax crimes, and then there are all the drugs, and then, of course, the tens of millions of dollars coming into the Biden family coffers from around the world, from communist China, from war-torn Ukraine, from Putin's Russia. No big deal. The lie of the year. Yeah, so Bill Hess, big boss, WMAL, said, maybe lie of the year, maybe it shouldn't be that Haitians ate cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio. Maybe that's not the biggest lie. And this popped. And this morning, when I guess it popped last night, but this morning we started playing with it. And that story, it's an alleged story by alleged fact checkers and alleged journalists, but they're each and every one is a lie in Sacagawea. So we got that. And then our great friend and WMAL morning host, O'Connor and Company, Larry O'Connor, he tweeted out, because it's funny, Michael Piercy and I were texting back and forth, and I said, I got to say, Michael, I think that might not be the lie of the year if you asked me. I said, I think it might be, that Joe Biden is a great president who's qualified to be president and qualified to be president for another 4 years. That might be the biggest lie of the year. But the filthies in the filthy, corrupt, awful, terrible, dishonest, lying news media, they told us in unison, like the National Socialist German Workers' Party choir. They told us that Joe Biden was great and that his brain was working really well and that he's doing a great job as president because of hatred. They're driven by left-wing Democrat Party hatred of President Trump, of course, because they didn't vote for him. But I said, maybe it's that big lie. That's kind of a macro lie.
I'm still in good shape.
Are you more frail?
No.
Do you have the mental and physical capacity to do it for another 4 years?
I believe so. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I did.
And Snuffleupagus, who covered up the sex crimes of Bill Clinton as a young man, which is what qualified him to become a multi-million-dollar journalist at ABC Fake News. And my brain's real good. Larry O'Connor tweeted out after Politifact posted on X, the lie marked it, it scarred a town. No, it didn't. And I just love that the opening line in the Politifact lie of the year is a lie. That's perfect and appropriate. A lie marked a town. No, it didn't. And its residents. No, it didn't. In the name of campaign rage. That's false. That's campaign rage right there. That's your mental illness on parade right there. And Larry O'Connor, our great friend and pal, Larry O'Connor said the idea that this compares in any way to, quote, Joe Biden is sharp as a tack and on top of his game, end quote, ironically makes this the lie of the year. Honestly.
Look, Joe Biden is our nominee. We beat Trump once, and we're going to beat him again.
Yeah, we beat, and that's, okay, now you didn't beat him again, did you? Was that the lie of the year? Not at Politifact, because the frauds and charlatans at Politifact and Politico, they lie for a living. They lie all day long. Isn't that extraordinary? Yeah, so Larry O'Connor had the exact same thought that I had, that Michael and I had, going back and forth. Amazing stuff. Wah, wah, wah. And just for a point of clarity, because we've had a couple of contacts about it, Sam Brinton, the cross-dressing, shaved head, goatee-wearing luggage thief in charge of nuclear waste for the Biden-Harris administration, is not Michael Piercy's favorite person, not his hero. That was only a joke. I was only kidding. And a little Tony Montana. And then, how about this? Because the second one we came up this morning is lie of the year. Trump can't win, right? Trump can't win because how could he win with all those Democrats?
It may just be the last dying gasp of Trumpism. They're dead. They just don't know it politically. We have seen time and again, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 22, voters reject Trumpism.
Mo Yarborough, Lion Sacagawea, possible lie of the year, candidate runner-up for the lie of the year. Boy, there'd be a lot of runner-ups for the liar of the year and the lie of the year, wouldn't there? And how about this? Men are not more physically or athletically capable than women. And women in women's locker rooms, NCAA, college athletics, and so on, they should just get over men flapping around in front of them in the locker rooms and then pretending to be women on the athletic field and the athletic court and so on. And maybe the NCAA president, who is a one-time Republican governor of the state of Massachusetts, Gesundheit. NCAA president, this is an amazing story that popped yesterday. The NCAA president, National College Athletic Association, suggests that the onus is on female athletes to use other facilities if they're uncomfortable sharing with trans players. Now, these other facilities, here's the funny thing about this. Randy and I were going back and forth about this. So you're a young woman. You're a college volleyball player, basketball player, swimmer, and you go to the women's locker room, and there are men in there with men's parts, and the Democrats tell you, oh, no, these men are women, right? And they say, you got to use the other locker room. So now you got to go use the men's locker room, but you're the woman. And this is what the Democrat Party has done. Just amazing. Even though this used to be a Republican. NCAA President Charlie Baker sent a message to women's college athletics and athletes who are uncomfortable sharing locker rooms with transgender athletes. That means men with male genitalia. On Tuesday, that's yesterday, putting the responsibility for their own safety squarely on the women themselves during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing over legalized sports gambling. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, questioned Baker, NCAA president, about the NCAA's policies that have allowed transgender athletes, that is men, to compete on women's teams and to flop around in women's locker rooms and shower rooms and everything else. Hawley confronted Baker about the NCAA policy that states transgender student athletes should be able to use the locker room, shower, and toilet facilities in accordance with their gender identity, not their actual gender, their identity.
Why do your guidelines allow biological men into women's locker rooms without the women's consent, without the women's foreknowledge? Why do you do that?
That's not what our guidelines say.
They do say that. I've got them right here. Your guidelines say that transgender student athletes should be able to use the locker room, shower, and toilet facilities in accordance with their gender identity. And here they are, right here.
And then everybody else should have an opportunity to use other facilities if they wish to do so.
Okay, so the burden's on the women.
Yeah, and they should go use the men's locker rooms because that makes sense. Liberalism is a sickness. It's a mental illness, and they're anti-science, This goes to Ketanji Brown Jackson, Broadway star, who doesn't know she's a woman. I'm here to tell her. An adult female human. That's what she is. And again, when we have these confirmation hearings for all of Trump's picks for cabinet posts and department and agency chiefs, if I were one of the senators asking questions, I would ask every one of them, can you tell me what is a woman? I would say, what is a woman to all of the nominees?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
So I would ask her, now that she's a Broadway star, did you see the meme going around from the Babylon Bee yesterday of Justice Clarence Thomas starring in a revival of Annie? And there's Clarence Thomas with a red wig with curly hair being Annie, and Clarence Thomas found it funny. So it's funny. Hey, look, that's funny. Because they're making fun of, but that's because conservatives and Republicans still have a sense of humor and understand comedy, and liberals will, shoot a CEO if you make a joke about them. Oh, by the way, did you see the poll numbers? Democrats love murder. It's official. They love assassination. Just extraordinary stuff. So that's the fakes, the frauds, the charlatans at Politifact and Politico. They say, falsely and incorrectly, that the lie of the year for 2024 is saying that Haitians were eating dogs and cats, which was widely reported out of the area, and there were people who lived there that were expressing concern. And if you repeated it, then it's the lie of the year. Not that Joe Biden is a great president and he's going to win and Trump can't win. And, the media, the American news media, is the lie of the year. That's a fact check. Just amazing. So Baker, the NCAA chief, the former Republican governor of Massachusetts, responded by insisting that other athletes have the option to find other accommodations if they're uncomfortable with it. Yeah, just go use the men's locker room. Isn't that amazing? The lies are so big, so ubiquitous, so inescapable that choosing the lie of the year is more challenging than ever before, I think. Let's go to a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Al, listening on the great WLS, calling from Indiana. Al, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris.
Hey,
I enjoy your show every day of the week. You make my day.
Thank you very much.
I've got not a lie of the year, but a lie of the years that should be given to Adam Schiff. Russia, Russia, Russia. I've got secret things that I can't tell you right now. This happened the whole time that President Trump was in office.
He is, I've been saying for years now, Al, that he is Washington's biggest liar, Washington's number one liar. And that's like, you're calling from Indiana. That's like being the fastest car at the Indy 500, being the biggest liar in Washington, D.C. And Adam Schiff, I agree with you, the biggest liar in Washington, D.C. And the inchworm, he's also known as the inchworm. And he was just promoted, Al. He was just promoted from the House of Representatives because he's a lion Sacagawea extraordinaire. And now he's coming back in January as United States Senator from our most populous state because there's a lot of very severe brain damage and mental illness in California.
Well, he's going to be the biggest liar in the Senate now for the next 5 years.
That is a fact. 6 years even, and, theoretically at least. And but you're right, he's the biggest liar in Washington. And that is, wow, I mean, that's tough. Biden won big with youth voters. Biden won big with youth. That's the headline. Period. Now, they're not talking about this election this year. They're not. Isn't that amazing? Wah, wah, wah. Just remarkable. Then the second part of the headline is, this year, they swung toward Trump in a big way. Well, then why does it say Biden won big with youth? I might declare NPR to be the lie of the year. NPR could be the taxpayer-funded Bolshevik socialist lie of the year. The entire network, National Panhandler Radio. Let's go to the phones again, Mike. Let's go to William, calling from Oakton, Virginia. William, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. My wife is a huge fan. I want to say it's not maybe lie of the year, but it is another one of these lies that extends over a bunch of years, and which makes me cringe, and that is America won't vote for a woman president. We're not ready for a woman president. And I can think of two examples, one present, one in the past. The recent example is Tulsi Gabbard. I know Trump Republicans who in 2020 and maybe even in 2024, had she run as a Democrat, would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard. And then going back in the past was Elizabeth Dole, wife of Senator Bob Dole, who I believe at the time she was president of the Red Cross. She wanted to be president, and the Democrats gave her the Mitt Romney treatment. And it's just very frustrating to me. They did it with George Bush with his Hispanic appointments, blocking them because they didn't want him to take credit of it. And I'm just tired of that lie that we're not for a woman president. If you look at Geraldine Ferraro, Hillary Clinton, and Kamala Harris, I think that's pretty self-explanatory why we aren't ready for those women as president.
And why do they keep saying this when we know it to be untrue?
Because it's the identity politics and
That's
all
right.
of the lies that associate with that. They want to own that issue.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a macro lie. It's the it's the narrative talking point, and it's the preening sense of superiority. Well, we would vote for him, but you wouldn't. The party of Bill Clinton.